Still in Ontario, protesters and police clashed as demonstrators in Toronto rallied against landlords who are evicting tenants for not paying their rent. Tenants out of work because of the COVID pandemic. We have more on that story from Eagle News correspondent Ashley Sackmar.
Last week, Premier Doug Ford announced an additional $150 million budget for the Social Services Relief Fund. This is intended for municipalities and Indigenous communities to aid in the immediate needs for homeless shelters and to mitigate homelessness in the long run. Take a look.
Today, I'm here to announce that we're doubling our investment in the province's Social Services Relief Fund. We're investing an additional $150 million to improve homeless shelters and create opportunities for long-term care housing. This funding will help municipalities renovate shelters, purchase new facilities, and prepare for emergencies. Above all, it will allow them to continue to protect their most vulnerable citizens and provide the care they deserve.
The province claims that previous funding has helped in many ways and has supported the most vulnerable. Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing Steve Clark explains it here.
We've heard from service managers that our investment is helping to save lives, and today's announcement will help them to continue responding to COVID-19 right now. The need is urgent. As part of Ontario's contribution to the federal government's proposed Safe Restart framework, we are investing an additional $150 million in new funding through our Social Service Relief Fund to address new COVID-related costs.
However, many Ontarians were surprised that this funding came the same day that the provincial government voted to amend Bill 184, which many advocacy groups claim would move to change the Residential Tenancies Act, giving landlords more power to evict thousands of tenants who were unable to pay rent during the COVID-19 pandemic after the lockdown has been lifted, likely displacing thousands into potential homelessness. Yesterday, July 6th, Keep Your Rent Toronto, an advocacy group raising awareness against COVID evictions, called for emergency action against Bill 184 by organizing a rally beginning at Queen's Park. The rally was meant to be a peaceful demonstration, with many protesters marching towards Toronto Mayor John Tory's condominium building to protest their concerns. Tensions rose between protesters and law enforcement, causing them to clash. The community organizations advocating for renters' rights state that Bill 184 will only move to deepen inequality and vulnerability, especially those who belong to the historically racialized, working class, and underserved communities, as they are among the city's most vulnerable populations. When asked about the reinstatement of evictions after the pandemic, Minister Clark simply referenced the bill. Take a look.
We've got a bill that is in committee today and will be at some point reported back to the House that I think will add some good measures to help protect tenants, things like adding mediation to the process so that we can hopefully get some cooperation between the landlords and tenants. So I don't have anything to add today on the restart of the LTB, but I have been working very closely with the Attorney General.
The COVID-19 pandemic has further increased economic instability and uncertainties all over the world. It has highlighted even more the disparities between the haves and the have-nots. As Ontario moves towards reopening, it is clear that there needs to be more open discussions between the government and its most vulnerable communities about how to move forward so that everyone has access to stable and proper residence. In Toronto, Ashley Sackmar, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.